Servers at restaurants. What's the strangest thing someone's asked for? We had a woman send a grilled chicken salad back because it was cold. So we cooked some new chicken and made sure to send it back while still warm. She sent it back again. The entire salad wasn't hot enough for her. We microwaved her salad. She ate it. I don't know, man. Edit. As of the 12th of June 2023, this was my top-rated comment on this account. Unfortunately, thanks to the stellar mismanagement of you, Spez, I am looking to have this account perma-banned. It was a fun ride, kiddos. Once a very thin, middle-aged woman came in. She couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds soaking wet. She asked what our biggest steak was. I told her it was the 24 ounces. Ribeye. She said, "Okay, I'll have that." Our steaks came with 2 sides. So I asked which one she'd like. She said I don't want sides. I told her they were included in the price. And she still refused them. I bring out her steak and she begins eating. She's about a third of the way through when I ask, "How is everything?" She says, "Great. Bring me another steak." I say, "Is there anything wrong with that one?" She says, "No. It's great. I want a second one." I go back to the chef and tell him. And he couldn't believe it. But we served her another steak. She ate all 48 ounces of steak and left me a $40 tip. Honestly, I'd say the weirdest thing was that while I was a server at a restaurant in the Royal Hawaiian, a guest asked me to book a shark adventure tour. It had nothing to do with my job or even the hotel. Those tours were entirely separate businesses. I took his black card, went to guest services, picked up a pamphlet, and booked the tour. He tipped me $250. Totally worth it. I had this couple come in with their own tea set. The man asked me if I had a few minutes to learn a few things. They were the second table sat, so I humored him. He showed me a very specific way of steeping and pouring the tea over a sugar cube and had me try it a couple times with water. The whole thing was sort of neat. He then asked if I would mind serving them their tea this very particular way. They were super kind. Even tough, the man had sort of an intense vibe to him. I filled the pot with hot water, carried it out like he showed me, and poured their cups of tea exactly how he showed me. He seemed extra pleased but never said a word or even looked at me. It was no problem and I felt super fancy doing it. I did refill their tea one time while they were there. And he also asked that I keep his wife's water glass full at all times. I knew it was going to be a good table when the first time I came by and refilled her water glass and inquired if they needed any more tea. The man handed me $20 and sort of dismissed me. He did it twice more that afternoon. At the end they paid with no tip, I thought, but $60 and a cool lesson was enough for me. My manager found me about an hour later and handed me an envelope and said they told him they only will come in when I am working from now on. The envelope had $100, business card, and handwritten thank you note. Apparently they had put this request up for many fine dining places and I was the only to get it right and do it graciously. It was very odd, because after the first lesson they treated me as if I was almost invisible. Backed up by the fact they didn't tip me in person. On every return trip it was the same. If you didn't know the deal they would seem like cold assholes. But they tipped really well and I treated them like VIPs every time. A tablecloth. A gentleman shat himself at a booth and asked for a tablecloth so he could walk out with it wrapped around him. I still serve him to this day and that was around 15 years ago. No shame. Back he comes once a week. We never asked about getting the tablecloth back. A middle-aged lady insisted she didn't like soda water or sparkling water, so instead asked for a white wine spritzer without the white wine. There are 2 ingredients to a white wine spritzer: white wine and soda water. I used to work at a Japanese restaurant and I once had someone come up to me and ask me if we had any low-sodium soy sauce. The request itself was not so strange and I gave him the bottle we kept behind the counter. The strange thing was what he used the soy sauce for, which was pouring some of it into his Pepsi. Chicken is vegetarian. Lady orders pizza with chicken. For the table. Rest of the table argued with her that they're vegetarians. She can have chicken on her own pizza with chicken. She replied chicken is vegetarian. Refused to understand that her friends were trying to get a vegetarian meal. One time at a Mexican restaurant my brain glitched and I asked for chopsticks. Poor girl froze up and said, "I'll ask my manager, but I don't think we have those." Can I have the chicken salad please? But instead of corn I want peppers. Instead of raisins, dates. And instead of pineapple, apple. Ah. And no chicken. Thank you. I used to work at Olive Garden. There was a lady that would come in at least once a week and she was dubbed by us staff as Pepperoncini Lady. She would want you to open a new bag of the pepperoncinis we used in the salads and pour out the juice in a cup. She would literally straight up drink the juice. She would also get a bowl of pepperoncinis and just eat them. Years ago I worked at this amazing Breton French creperie in San Francisco. Phenomenal food with a pretty small menu. Guy comes in and orders a sweet crepe with vanilla ice cream. No biggie. Then he wants to add a sunny side up egg and parsley to this crepe. I ask him a number of times if he's sure he knows what he's getting and that it's not two separate crepes, one sweet and one savory. He assures me. Of course when I ring it in, the kitchen thinks I made a mistake, to which I assure them it's not a mistake. I bring out said vanilla ice cream with sunny side up egg crepe and the client devours it. Weird. I had a couple that told me to wait before I pre-bussed their table so the man could lick every plate clean first. They had multiple apps and entrees between them and he licked every single one clean before I was allowed to take it. They weren't in a private booth or anything. The other guests could see this happening. Not a server, but my grandma would bring in her own bread to restaurants and ask them to toast it as a side for her breakfast. Edit. I never really asked her about the bread. But I believe it was some store-bought, multi-grain style of bread. She'd bring it in a Ziploc bag. It definitely wasn't an allergy thing and I don't think it was a saving money thing either. She wasn't the Great Depression type. She was a character straight out of Mad Men, Mrs. Maisel. She was never told no, but to be honest, she may have only done it at places she was a regular at. Typically when we visited my grandparents, we always went to the same restaurants. My clearest memory of her doing this is at a place we always had breakfast at the morning before we left. A whole bottle of fish sauce. And they used the whole bottle of fish sauce. Chili dog. Sub chicken noodle soup for chili. She took a bite and said, "Oh, I made a mistake." A grilled cheese. Atkins style. This was like early 2000s. My boss told me to microwave 3 slices of cheese and charge her $8 for it. She was thrilled. The place I worked at had little water cups on the table and we kept them filled for customers. I sat a party of 2 women, who said they were waiting for a third person, and went to fill their water cups. When I asked if I should fill the third one or wait for the third person to arrive, one woman said, "Oh, no need. He's trying to quit." I thought it was a joke. And when the third person, a man, got there, I went to fill his water. He said, "No, don't fill it. I'm trying to quit water." Once had a dude order a large garden salad, looked me dead ass in the eyes and very seriously said no purple in it, and I just acted like yeah sure okay with no follow-up questions. Ended up picking out anything purple colored in the salad and very nervously watched him pick through it. Was satisfied enough and left a decent tip. I can never unsee purple things in my salad now. But I eat house salad. Hold the lettuce and all other vegetables. Extra croutons. Extra cheese. Extra dressing. Literally a plate of croutons, cheese and dressing. In college I worked at a burrito shop on campus. One night this guy who was stoned out of his mind ordered a burrito with everything on it. 3x salsa. Sour cream. Extra beans. Meat. Rice. Everything. I could barely wrap the burrito. He walks over and sits at a table and takes one bite and all the burrito contents shot out the bottom. He just went "oh no" and then just started eating it out of his lap and off the table. It was entertaining to watch. Ranch with everything. Don't get me wrong. I love my ranch dressing too. But people want it on the things you'd never expect. $60 steak? Can I get a side of ranch for the steak? Soup. Can I get ranch with that? Spaghetti. Would you like me to grate some fresh cheese on top? No. But can I get ranch for it? Guacamole without avocados, the whole reason behind my name. She was completely serious too. Guy came in with a large group. Must have had a recent surgery or something cause he asked for his meal to be blended. He ordered a lasagna. This man told me he couldn't have anything that has been ground up at some point. So like, can't use anything with flour in it. Not because the gluten. But because it was made small at one point. My man. That is not a thing. Two guys came in looking like they were from the CIA. The fat one ordered 4 fried chickens and a Coke, and the tall one ordered plain white toast. Former cook. Had someone order a quesadilla without the cheese one time. I thought that was pretty funny. Flava Flav came into the restaurant I worked at. It was a fancy seafood place. He ordered just a plate of cucumbers for himself. Everyone else at his table ordered normal things. I'm guessing he maybe doesn't like seafood? Hilarious. Yes. He wore a giant clock chain and he let the staff take pics with him as he said, "Flava Flav." Really nice guy. Years ago while leaving a restaurant I saw a guy sitting at the counter seats pouring ketchup into his Sprite. Straight out of the glass Heinz bottle. He glanced around to see if anyone was looking and then started pouring it in. I work somewhere that sells Macallan 25. It's a 25-year aged scotch that is $350 for a 2 ounces pour. We don't sell it often. Just for the occasional high roller. Someone asked for 2 shots of it mixed with Diet Coke one night. The bartender died inside pouring it for them. But a $700 tab is a $700 tab. We aren't in the business of telling you not to spend money. When I was a server, the objects requested couldn't faze me. The quantities of what was requested had the ability to make me question the customer's sanity. 30 ramekins of whipped butter was pretty impressive. The lady who ate them appeared to be in her 40s or 50s and nothing odd or noteworthy about her appearance. She was a bit on the thin side. If anything. That table was a party of 8 and she seemed to be the center of attention. Worked at Bob Evans 20 years ago and there were a few. Parsley woman. She would order a glass of milk and a large soup bowl full of parsley and eat it. No salad dressing or anything, just straight parsley. Apple pie woman. She would order a piece of apple pie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it. But the pie was almost never hot enough. We finally figured out how to make her happy. Instead of microwaving the piece of pie for 1.5 minutes, you'd microwave it for 7 minutes. Fan lady. Not food related, but the lady would come in every Sunday morning, our busiest time of the week, and demand that the speed of the fans for the whole restaurant be slowed down. She claimed she had a medical condition and got away with it for 2 months. This stopped when one of the managers determined they also had a medical condition. But it required the fans to be left on at normal speed. This made fan lady very mad and never came back. Deep fried bacon guy. No complaint really. Turns out deep fried bacon is delicious. Had someone visibly offended that their glass of wine didn't have ice. After I get her a mug of ice to pour it over. She asked for sugar packets which she stirred into it. She still wasn't enjoying it and offered to get her a soft drink instead. She gladly let me swap it for some lemonade. When I was cooking in the military, someone requested a BLT sandwich but with no bacon or tomato. He wasn't kidding. He just wanted bread and lettuce. Been a long time since I worked as a waiter. But the strangest thing would be my underwear. A group of drunk women came in one day and asked for my boxers. I obliged because I was, and still am I guess, a slut. Jägermeister plus Tabasco plus whipped cream plus pepper. I had a regular that would eat an entree-size plate of pepperoncini for lunch. That's it with some soda water. He would take a bite, then pour the juice in his soda water. He had to eat like 40 or 50 every time he came in. I work at Domino's. Asked a guy if he wanted any toppings on his pizza. And he 100% seriously asked me, "Do you guys have coconut?" I once had a lady ask for chicken medium rare. I told her we can't do that and she responded with, "But they do it at other restaurants for me." I promptly told her to go to other restaurants then. I ain't catching that lawsuit. I had a regular that wanted their tiramisu served hot. Kind of the inverse, but a lady ordered a charcuterie board and when it arrived, with disgust, she asked me to take it away because it had meat on it. I carefully explained that the ingredients were listed in the menu and that the meat was somewhat implied by the name of the dish. She remained unfazed and I returned the board to the kitchen. That was fun. Side salad with ketchup instead of dressing. A customer asked me to overcook his chicken breast until it's extremely dry and rubbery. Said he loves overcooked dry chicken. Literally said I want it to the point it's tough like leather. I had a guy send back his eggs because the outer rim didn't match the color of some planet. An old man once asked me for a damp napkin to clean his glasses. Although an odd request at a restaurant, I ran a napkin under water and came back to give it to him. He then asked why I was giving him a wet napkin. I have had absurd experiences with other types of jobs, but none more than in the restaurant industry. Ordered an $80 prime bone and ribeye and asked if we could cut the fat off of it before we cooked it. Asked for the calamari. When it came, she sent it back. Didn't realize it was squid, just like the name. Have had the same with espresso. I was at a salad bar and a lady put lettuce on her plate and then covered it in ice. She ate it with a fork, attempting to stab the ice like croutons. No one else seemed to notice. She was chatting with the staff like any regular would. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. Banana split with no banana. Wish I was kidding. I worked kitchen at KFC. But from time to time we would all throw on the headsets for drive-thru just to listen in. One night we get a guy put in a typical order. But then he starts in on, "Can I get extra hot sauce? I like it hot and spicy. Do you like it hot and spicy? I really like it hot and I got to have it spicy." And so on. He pulled up to the window with his wife in the passenger seat and his kids in the back who looked mortified. I can't really say I recall anything especially weird being asked for. But what always amazed me was how people just assumed that a restaurant could just whip something up for them. Especially when it comes to dessert. I had a coworker have a customer who perused the dessert menu. Shut it. And ask for a slice of apple pie, never mind baking an entire pie for someone. Mind you, there was no apple pie in the menu, and most dessert items at a restaurant are not made to order. People would also always put reservation notes asking us to bring a cupcake for a birthday. Again, not something we had on the menu, nor something we are going to make special even if we didn't have 210 covers coming in that night. Of course, people were more than welcome to bring in a cake or dessert, but no one wants to pay the plating fee. Well, strangest comment I ever got was, "Sir, these vegetables are clearly touching my fish." A non sequitur from decades ago that I'll always remember. This was years ago, but I had a middle-aged woman ask for some wah-wah to drink. Took some effort, but I kept a straight face and asked if she wanted ice in her wah-wah. I used to work at a family restaurant and we had this regular we called the iced tea guy. He would come in and order a meal with iced tea, and the iced tea was always refillable. Long story short, everyone knew after his meal was done he would camp, stay for a long time, and continue to ask for refills of the iced tea. Iced tea guy would then ask permission to get up and go to the restroom. And if you said no, he would give you $5 each time. In retrospect, I think it was some sort kink dom shit. It started getting weird lol. Eventually he wasn't allowed back because of a certain situation. Iced tea guy was in my station one day for a couple hours and he had a new request for me. Iced tea guy wanted me to choose a piece of pie for him to eat with his hands. But he wanted to do it with shoes on his hands. He asked me to help him buckle the straps on a pair of Mary Janes he busted out of a backpack and put on each hand. So then he ate a piece of Dutch apple pie a la mode with the shoes that were buckled on his hands. Anyways, he wasn't allowed back after that day and I never saw him again. That's my story of the strangest thing someone has ever asked me for when I was a server. Someone once ordered a veggie quesadilla from me, and after I brought it out and checked on them to make sure everything came out all right, the person said, "Excuse me. I have a dairy allergy and I can't eat this. Why would you sell me something with cheese on it?" She did not inform me she had a dairy allergy and ended up ordering a veggie quesadilla, no cheese. So just sautéed peppers and onion on a large dry tortilla. I once had a woman order a glass of red wine with a side of creamer. I actually didn't think much of it at first. But when I brought them to her, she proceeded to pour the cream into the glass of wine. I told her I've never seen that before. She said, "You've got to try it." I'm not going to try it. I've posted this before. But I used to work at a chain restaurant in college. Let's call it Crapplebee's. Woman comes in and asks for a glass of the mango stuff. I clarify whether she wants a mango tea or mango lemonade and she says, "No, just the mango stuff." For reference, the mango stuff is syrup. Literally sugar syrup with fake mango flavor and food coloring. I explain that the mango stuff is not juice. It is syrup. She insists she wants just the mango stuff. I bring her a glass of straight-up mango syrup. She drinks the whole thing and takes one to go. Not to mention, we had to charge her like $12 a glass because she drank a bottle and a half of mango syrup that would have made like 50 mango lemonade. She was cool with that. I worked in an Italian place at the height of the Atkins diet craze. We had someone order a personal pizza. To go. No crust. Along with some other stuff for their family. My kitchen manager thought quick. Took a piece of foil. Built the pizza on top of it, sans crust, and ran it through the oven. We boxed it up and sent it out with the rest of the order. I never heard back from them. And to this day I'm still not sure if it was a genuine request. Or someone's idea of a joke. Either way, I don't really care. I'm not a server. But one time I was in line at a Subway. The guy in front of me ordered a cold cut combo, which I think is just a bologna sandwich. Starting normal. But he follows up with and add meatballs to that. The girl making it paused for a second. But pushed through. But then she did what her job demanded. She asked what kind of cheese he wanted. The man looked her right in the eyes. Didn't hesitate and says cottage. The sandwich artist looked at him and just said no. To this day, I have no idea if she said no because they didn't have cottage cheese or because she was too disgusted to make it. But that one word no sent me into a fit of laughter and I had to leave the line. Academy Award nominated. Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Father of Jamie Lee Curtis. Actor Tony Curtis. The single most miserable asshole I ever had the honor of waiting on. He was staying at the resort the restaurant I worked at was in. So I had the privilege of attending to him several times over the week. He was insufferably smug and condescending. Several times saying this isn't what I ordered even though his order had been read back to him and confirmed. How many times can you order in a restaurant and get something you don't think you ordered? Before you start to ask if maybe it's you? The most ridiculous was that he ordered a hamburger. Wanted it cooked rare. So the chef cooked him his burger and when I brought it out to him he said it's too overdone. Redo it. So I told the chef and he made a more rare burger. Curtis sent that one back too. Now the chef is pissed so he made a patty of raw hamburger and waves a torch over it so it's barely brown and ice cold in the middle. Fucker loved it. Said it was the best burger he ever had. Still complained about how long it took to get his meal. I still remember the chef saying if that's what he wanted, he should have ordered a tartare à la retour. Is it too much to ask that people learn the name of the weird thing they like to eat? I have to look up that name every time I tell this story. Tony Curtis is long dead now. And frankly I'm not missing him much. There was a lady who appeared to be a little older but looked like she took care of herself and had some plastic surgery done to her face. She asked me for a Coke Zero with extra Splenda on the side. I brought out a few packets but she asked me for a bowl of the sweetener. I then watched her tear open packet after packet to add to her diet soda. After she left I counted how many she used 16. For a 16 ounces soda. I replicated the drink to try with my coworkers on shift. Just to see what she was thinking. I was trying to slurp a solid through my straw. I then decided maybe it wasn't Botox but lots of preservatives that made her appear more youthful. Lol. Oh wow, something I actually have an answer for. Worked at an all-you-can-eat sushi place and you were allowed one bowl of ice cream. Anything more and it would just be an all-you-can-eat ice cream place. Woman asked for chocolate ice cream with a heaping side of wasabi. She ate it all mixed together. She admitted to it being super weird but said it tasted great. Still the weirdest order I've taken to date. Granted I don't work in food service anymore. When I went to take an order from two men, one grabbed my thigh and said, "I'll have you. You look meaty." The other guy at the table was mortified. I was unamused. The other servers wanted to take the table off me but I wasn't traumatized. Just annoyed. Woman sent a steak back 9 times. Not be replaced to eat a bit and have it cooked more. Eat a bit and have it cooked more. The thing was black and still wanted the juice cooked out. Anytime even a drop of juice came out of it she sent it back. Eat a little. Hit a middle part, tiny drop of liquid comes out. Sent back. I mean this thing was well done and still complaining. Why even have a steak if you hate the meat juice in it? Just a dry burnt steak. I mean by the last time she sent it back the part left was maybe the size of a chicken finger to cook off the juices. But to each their own. I once heard a guy in front of me order a sandwich that was entirely extra mayo. Extra pickles, no meat. No cheese. Nothing else. Mayo. Pickles. Back when I was serving at a Chili's, I had a couple ask me to give them their gender reveal for a new baby. I never met them before, but apparently they fucking loved Chili's. Some high-pitched crazy dude ordered chicken. But without the beak. Weird fellow. In my teen years I worked at a family restaurant. One day at breakfast an elderly woman came in and just ordered toast with orange marmalade and asked if we had a cloth napkin. We only offered paper napkins. But she was very nice, so I found a cloth napkin in the back. After spreading out the cloth napkin on the table, from her purse she pulled out a framed picture of an elderly man in an old-style army uniform. She propped up the picture on the table and ate her toast and marmalade with her past husband by her side. I had to go into the back and cry. And when a concerned coworker asked me why I was crying, she started crying too when I told her about the lady. Not a server but a dude I know orders a cup of hot water and lemons whenever he goes to a restaurant. Then puts his utensils in the hot water cup and squeezes lemon juice in it to disinfect the silverware before he eats with it. It's not a joke. He just does that and swears it's normal. Hamburger at Burger King run through the broiler twice. I held up the disc of ash with my tongs and she excitedly nodded her head. My ex said a guy would ask for a specific number of pickles on the side. Like 9 pickle slices on the side. Every visit. Not a server but I used to regularly order a single sausage on the Weatherspoons app for the local stray cat. Worth every penny. French onion soup with no onions. I once got a table that wanted the steak without the steak. I just stood there and looked at them waiting. They explained they didn't eat beef, so they wanted everything that came in the plate, like the sides, but with no steak they wanted chicken instead. The way the chef looked at me when I told him, steak with no steak, was priceless. LMAO. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.